Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hi, Tonya.
Hi, Carlos.
Can you hear my George Clooney voice?
I can hear your
Testing
voice.
1, 2, 3. Only my voice, not my George Clooney voice. I'm gonna cry. Okay, I won't bother you for a while. Maybe I put some. Can I put some music?
Yes, please do. I'm streaming on Clubhouse too at the same time for someone else's event. So I was gonna see what happened. But yeah, definitely.
Okay.
What kind of music you wanna play for us?
Okay, let me see if I find something here which is not with legal rights that get us in trouble with the recording. Just a second, wait. Hi, Brain, I'm watching you. I see if I can invite you to speak.
Oh, I gave him the mic.
Okay.
Hi.
He's a speaker already. Welcome, Brain.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me. Nice to meet you all.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I'm so curious about your project.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about it more today. It's if any point you see some tape noises or boxes in the background, it's because we're actually in the process of moving house. As I guess as people in Europe would say, I have some European friends, so they're always like saying like going to hospital or like moving house. But yeah, moving places right now. So if you hear any box or anything, bear with me.
That's what we call here a situation comedy ecosystem. So don't worry.
No, don't worry. We're actually I actually spent the whole month of moving from my other house when I was closing it out on Space. I met
Wow.
so many people back then. That's who I became good friends with. Are you kidding me? No worries. I think that's what I love about social audio. We get to like do other things in the process of not having to sit in front of the screen staring at ourselves. We get to do other things, right? So yeah, no worries. But right now we're streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and also on Twitter. I'm also in the middle of streaming another thing going on in Clubhouse. I've never done it before, but so I have two shows streaming at the same time, which is my ultimate goal was to see how many shows I can stream. But I'm excited about this show because we want to get know more and anything to do with raising awareness with mental health. Both Carlos and I are very passionate about. We talk about this before, and we're thrilled to have you here, and we appreciate you for joining us today. But Carlos, did you want to play some music or something? Because while we wait for some more people to show up, I'm just tweeting out.
Yes, I found something here regarding motivation, so I think it's proper. Can you hear it?
Yeah, I can hear it.
But if I talk, can you hear me?
I can hear you. You can talk.
Okay, over the music. I mean, I just want to set
The
up.
music is like your background music, so it's all good. You can talk. Let me
Okay.
tweet out the space so we can get people in here.
Okay, perfect. I'm publishing now the message from Twitter that we are already on. How long have you been in Twitter, Brain?
Yeah, so I've been on Twitter now. I guess on my other account, I have like my Big Friendly Reptile account, which is like my personal that I use. I've been on Twitter, I think, since like 2018, but I rarely used it. I was only really up until about like December of last year, in like 2021, where I thought, I'm going through my own mental health. What can I do to support others that have been like really silent about their own struggles that they're going through? So I thought I just started getting on Twitter a lot more, and was being a lot more active like within the community. And I grew my account almost like
Hold on a
twice.
second, Brent. Carlos, I think you should mute the music because it's all now I hear the music go in and out, and we're
Okay.
so. Thank you. Go ahead, Brain.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I was just gonna say that what I was saying is, I started my account, and I almost like doubled what my personal account was in like I think about a couple of weeks, or like 3 weeks or something like that. I grew like very quickly, which was pretty fun. Like I've been really enjoying like engaging a lot of people. I run another space called the Mental Health Collective, which we just opened in February. I right at like the tail end of it, which is primarily focused on it's what we call the community powered by compassion. So we've been focusing our efforts on that, and then I've been like going back and forth with working on my Brain is Real project. So it's been a long like fun journey.
Very good, very good. It's good making efforts in that area. It's very, very important for a lot of people nowadays. So we're very happy that you have been devoting your time and directing your life in that direction. Because as time is going, passing by, we have just like uncertainty, which is growing each year. The world is not getting easier to understand, but looks like a little bit more difficult to handle in different areas. Well, I see here a very good friend from Venezuela, where I'm from. She's in an area where, for example, she's Jennifer C. Gustavo also, welcome. Oh, he left, but we have a creative work. Welcome. We started to follow. And Jennifer is working with these financials, decentralized finances thing. And there are several areas which have been experiencing some growth. Some others have been having very, very difficult times. And it's not easy to adapt for many instances. And of course, the result is some mental imbalance, which is totally logical, understandable that it happened. But the important thing, I think, is just like getting the tools, getting people just like prepared. I think that it's good. The good intention, there are a lot of good intentions around Twitter Spaces, but you also need the professionals because there are actual rules and mechanics and things that are important to handle. And it's very delicate. I mean, treating a person's mental health is not a toy, it's not a game, it's something serious. And a lot of people is taking it too lightly, I will say. And that could be even dangerous. So we are really happy to have you here because we know you know a lot of serious information about this serious issue.
Yeah,
Welcome, Ayala. Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
Carlos. I just want to say thanks, Carl, for having me, Carlos. Yeah, it's very true. We talked about this in one of our spaces too, and it's very common where it's easy for somebody to say that, okay, yeah, you have a condition or some sort of issue when it's like a broken arm or a broken leg, or maybe you broke your rib or something, and there's an external cast, right, that you have to put on. But when you have a mental health issue and you tell somebody you have this issue that's going on, it's easy for somebody to dismiss it because there's no external, version of that they can see, where they can instantly go, oh yeah, you're right, you do have some sort of hurt, or you do have damage going on with you, and it's all internalized. So people will instantly sometimes dismiss it. That's really what our project is about too, right? Is Brain is Real is our way of saying our brain is real, and so is our mental health. So it's our way of like reminding us that we have a brain and it is real, and we need to take care of it like our arms and our legs and our internals and make sure that we're functioning healthy. And because when I guess we can talk a little bit more further in this, but what inspired me to do this was in October of last year. I was going through like a really stressful time, and it was building up, building up, building up, and I kind of referred to it as like a balloon of stress. And then I had a popping moment on October, and I had like multiple days, like days after day after day after day, where I was like having a panic attack at least once, and they would last anywhere from like 20 to 30 minutes. Sometimes like they would last like an hour. And I
Yeah,
literally,
exactly. That's around the time. But you know, before commenting on panic attacks, I want to share something with you. When you started to talk, and you were saying if you break a leg, of course you can see the actual injury and you know how to act. And I remember I work with comedy. I've been working with comedy for about 40 years now, since I started in my country. And I saw, I don't know where, in Spanish television, something wonderful where it was kind of a parody of Doctor House, the famous TV series, and then they were making just like an MRI, I think it's in English, uh, and the doctor said, okay, here we can spot her. And instead of being a tumor or something, she said, okay, this is your ex-girlfriend. It's here. Okay, we're going to do a surgery and we're going to extract her. And so they were acting like that with that premise, you know, it was wonderful and very humorous and hilarious premise. That what happened if you could spot doing special X-rays and using technologies, and you can actually spot the reason of your depression or the reason of your pain in the heart. So it was such a thing funny, and the one of the doctors I remember, he put it under the electronic microscope. He said, "Oh, she was cute," and the other hits with an elbow. You're like, "Shut up!" I mean, just like the guy, don't spoil it. I mean, we're saving him from that reminder, no? But what you said about panic attacks, well, I don't know if I would like to ask Jennifer, have you suffered? I will first of all invite Jennifer to speak, because let me tell you that Jennifer is hosting like 300 spaces a week. I don't know where she gets the time regarding these all financial Bitcoins things. And she does that in Spanish. At least I'm not sure if she handles any one in English. I will try to invite her to speak. Okay, it says here that she has been invited. Let's see if she can go. Because welcome, Alexis, too. I would like to know about, for example, how long did you suffer panic attacks, Brain?
So a little bit of background for those who are in the audience too, and obviously for Carlos and Tanya, for everybody here. I just recently actually got diagnosed with PTSD, moderate PTSD, and mild panic disorder. So I've been suffering with those since about October of 2021, and then it's slowly, like, the frequency between panic attacks has been increasing, meaning that, you know, there's more days between my panic. But I haven't really had like a solid panic attack, probably like a really serious, like I've gotten really well at knowing what number I've reached. And I've had ones that, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, I've gone exceeded outside of that. Like I remember telling my partner, I was like, man, this one's like a 15 for me. And there's times where like legitimate thought that I was legitimately had to go to the hospital. It was that terrifying. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
been about since October.
but let me give you, I will tell you, I started with panic attacks like more than 20 years ago. I could say almost 22, 23 or something like that. And the first thing, okay, this is not medical advice, but this is an advice that in no way means danger to you. You have to check with a doctor, because the first thing that a person who is experiencing something like panic attacks, you have to disregard the possibility that if being from a thyroidal origin, from the thyroid gland, you know, I don't know because my medical English is not so good, but in the tiroides, we said tiroides in Spanish. I think it's thyroids in English. You got to do a lot of tests, or not a lot, but you have to do 2 or 3 important tests to discard, I mean, to say the possibility that the origin is because the symptoms you have when you're experiencing a panic attack, an actual panic attack, are very close to when you are having these kind of gland originated illnesses. So you have to be pretty sure that your gland is working okay, and actually your panic attacks have a more psychological or brainy origin, for putting in some way, you know. After that, I went with a treatment with 2 medications, and the doctor told me to use them in X dose. And he told me, don't worry, because these are not addictive. You yourself, by yourself, you will start feeling. One of the medicines started to work after several weeks. I didn't do anything the first 21st days or something like that. But then it was possible to, I mean, it started working. The other one was just like more like an anxiety killer, you know, just like something like Rivotril, or I thought in my case was Rivotril. The fact is that after 1 year and a half, I can say that I was totally cured. It was a very, very, I feel totally alleviated of it. I spent many, many years, and recently, just like 15 years later, I am falling. I started falling again. I took some action with the doctor. I took a little bit of the medicine, and now after the pandemic, or during the pandemic, well, with the everything happening around with relatives, there were a couple of very close deaths in the family and stuff. Well, obviously, and I'm in my health, I also have to do some surgery and stuff. And I think that everybody has been affected. And I think that actually the specific ailment of panic attack must be skyrocketing actually in all the planet. I mean, I think we need a lot of help of people who are really specialists and can give good advice and professional advice, specifically professional advice. I'm talking from my point of view as a patient and an ex-patient, I like to say, because I did walk that road, and I can tell you, at least I can tell you what happened to me. But every case is different, so you got to be very careful. Okay, so you can go,
Talk about your
Tonya.
project. I also want to talk about your project. The most important also is I'd love to know more about when did you discover NFT, and like when did you did you remember where you were when you discovered NFTs?
Oh man. So yeah, I mean, I've been following it for a while. I mean, I remember last year when I was watching Bored Ape Yacht Club and stuff like that, and then I was watching the Crypto Punks and all the traditional kind of like projects now that have blown up. But I mean, I've been a stock investor and stuff like that for quite a while, and I've been fortunate enough to where a lot of that stuff is just paid off for me in a way where it's completely changed my life. But what I was gonna say is I've been watching the NFT community for like a while, and man, I like missed out on all those projects when I had the opportunity to buy them. But I just it took me a long time to honestly believe in the NFT community because it was something that was like so completely new. In like in a traditional kind of like business world, right? There's like the 10-10 rule, which is like the 10% of the early adopters, 80% of those are the middle adopters, and the last like final 10 only adopt because they have no other choice. But I still say that we're like in that 10 percentile where there's still a lot of people who are early adopting these NFTs. And then the other portion of it for me was when it's really prevalent within the community, but there are honestly a lot of scams. That's just not something you read about online. I've seen a lot of projects get rugged, and yeah, so I remember where I was at too when I had finally heard of one of the projects like blow up. I was over at my now ex CEO's house, and him and I had like just got done like hanging out, and I was in his backyard, and I remember like reading about, I think it was like Bored Ape Yacht Club that I was like just beginning to blow up during that time, and I was like, whoa, maybe I should jump in. and it was fairly cheap, but that like not like fairly expensive, but it still, you know, was going up there. And I thought, oh man, I don't think I'm going to pour anything in here. And and months later, I remember reading about them like, oh wow, some of these are worth, you know, 200,000 plus now, which is just absolutely like insane. But yeah, it's NFTs are interesting. They've been one heck of a ride. They've changed a lot of people's lives. But again, you got to be careful though, because you know it's a double-edged sword. There, it's like on the other flip side of the coin. There are a lot of projects, and like what Gary Vee says, you know, 98% of the projects are going to zero. And I absolutely believe that is because a lot of these projects, you know, they claim community, they build up a community, and then they rug a community, or they stop supporting the community. They lack like a lot of utility, and then they don't know how to like further on with their projects. So or they do
I
like
mean,
what's also
didn't two young guys just got arrested? I mean, it's the first one ever.
yeah, I'm happy to see that. Like at least there's some cases that they're cracking down on. Because right, you have Web3 and you have decentralization, but it's still not completely decentralized, and that is for a good reason. Because there needs to be some sort of oversight, at least in my opinion, for now. Because there are a lot of people that are thinking that they can go and rug these projects, you know, steal millions of dollars, walk away, and not have any consequences from it. And I've seen that like a lot. A lot of my friends have invested in the projects, and then they will either half or the floor price will go practically to zero as people dump to get out. It's pretty crazy.
Remind me of the '80s in the stock market.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? The grimy '80s.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't around that time, but I read about it, and yeah, it totally can, right? It's when things are going good, things are going good, but then once you know, there's that FUD, which is the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Once that sets in, and a bear market sets, it's you know, it's like a roller coaster ride, and a lot of times it can take a nosedive for a while. I mean, that's like what we just saw with the conflict or whatever people want to call it, conflict or a war. I mean, it's definitely, you know, I would say it's leaning more towards war, but it's been labeled as a conflict, which is interesting. But yeah, you know, that's obviously affected and caused bear markets, along with the pressures of whether or not the Treasury was going to end up being more hawkish or not with rates. But luckily, we're seeing those rates actually increase, being more hawkish, because we need that right now. Otherwise, inflation is going to run away. But that's another topic for another day.
And we're just here talking about the project. We're not giving any financial help discussion. FYI.
Yeah, I always like to say focus more on feelings versus facts. I mean, obviously, this is just from experience and what I'm experiencing. Definitely no financial advice.
So you got into this. I mean, what you know, brain is real. Such a simple name. Like you know, you're calling your project brain is real, which is so true. But I love the artwork that's coming out of this. Tell us a bit about the process and why did you guys choose the name?
Yeah, so kind of like what I was saying earlier, and this is, you know, for other people in the room. Welcome everybody too, by the way. It's thanks for being here and listening. I was just say, out of like all the places you choose to be, it's great to see people in here and just kind of take the time to listen to what's going on. So appreciate y'all. Yeah, brain is real is my way of saying our brain is real, and so is our mental health. It's like a reminder that, you know, we focus a lot on taking care of like working out and, you know, working on our muscles, and you know, we eat healthy and stuff like that. But then a lot of times we can forego our mental health. So it's a very simple way of, again, of me saying our brain is real and so is our mental health. And it's like a reminder to everybody and in the community. And that's why the artwork is a brain. There's just a lot, like it's supposed to be a collection where I'll end up doing a generation. So, you know, it's very common within the NFT community, but I just like that. I thought it was fun because I also have a background in Python, so I know how to do Python, and know Swift too, which is a great language. So I was like looking forward to doing that part of it. But yeah, the work for me is just it's pretty fun. I remember I was leaning more towards like doing more of kind of like, I guess, realism or kind of like abstract art with brains, and then making that like a 10,000 piece collection, or having it generate, as far as like do randomization, like code and put all these images together to make it look like a brain, which is something else I was considering. But then one night I remember I got out my iPad. I was like just drawing and having fun on Procreate, and I just remembered like all the times that I would sit on a plane and draw, like when I was going places. And I remember drawing these like kind of silly characters, but I never had like aspirations to be an illustrator or anything like that. But I always liked what I drew, and I have like set aside drawing for almost like 10 years now. And it wasn't until this project where my love for drawing has come back again. So yeah, it's been a great experience. And that's where I started from there. I went through like a couple iterations of design, and then this one that you see now on my Twitter page and stuff like that, where the artwork's at, is that final design that I've landed on.
Hey, Brian, everybody knows that especially during the 90s and the 80s and the late 80s and early 90s, there was a total craze about the two halves of the brain, the right side and the left side of the brain. If you don't know, I will recap. It's just like the left side of the brain supposedly handles the financial things, logical things, names, tagging things by names, numbers, mathematics, everything just like Excel, okay? And the right side supposedly is the right side. It's just like the most artistic side, just like the poet brain, where you're lazy, you don't care about what time it is. It's just like the the artist side. Well, let me tell you that I will give you a tool, because I like to say in every space I go like a listener, and eventually if they let me speak, I always try to remember everybody that you have to be aware of which half of the brain is the one who is predominant in your case, because everybody is more right-sided or more left-sided, generally speaking. But you didn't know something. You know what? During the 24 hours of a day, the dominance of one of the sides is changing. Okay? In this moment, everybody here, you have the dominance of the left side of the brain or the right side. And the people from India, they have a wonderful and easy method that I will teach you. I will teach you now in 30 seconds to know which side of the brain is dominant side in your brain right now. It is very easy. You just take your finger and you get your index finger close to your nose, okay? And you're going to put it over the nostril, okay? Covering the right side. And you're gonna breathe through your left nostril, okay? You're doing it, okay? Cover your right nostril and breathe. And then with the same finger, cover the left nostril, the opposite one, and breathe. You can notice, and if you don't notice it at the first time, you can do it again, and you will go, and you will notice that one of the sides is wider, is open. I mean, that you can breathe easily or easier through that side. Well, the dominant side of your brain is the opposite to the nostril. You have wider. You are breathing easier. I don't know if I explain myself well. Okay, so in my case, for example, right now I can breathe a lot better through my right nostril, which means that the dominant side of my brain right now is the left side. It's just like the mathematical, logical, etc. side. And if your case is the opposite, well, vice versa. Okay, and that's, you can ask your neurologist, your friendliest neurologist, or your family doctor about it, and you will know it's true. And why is this important? Because the dominance of the brain sides during the day can last about, some panic attacks can go from 10 minutes, only 15 minutes, even 2 hours. Okay, but that shifting of dominance is happening all day long. right? So if you're going to enter into a meeting, okay, and it's a very specific and mathematical meeting like the Jennifer meetings are with her Bitcoins issues, I mean, she will know in an instant that she will be better prepared for that meeting if she needs to have the right nostril wider, with the being easy to breathe through the right nostril. And you can check that in a second, and it helps you a lot to be aware of that. Believe me that it helps. So if you want to make any question, Tonya?
No, I believe, you know what? I call that the yoga breathing. That actually saved my life once. So, that technique, I totally know
Why?
what you're. Yeah, I got
Why?
really sick, so I had to practice breathe. That's what I tell people when they're under stress to start doing that yoga. I call it yoga breathing. Breathe in one side of the nostril, breathe out the other one,
Okay.
and it's just, you hold and breathe. That's all. I'm just saying, like, I believe in that.
Okay, good. What about you, Brain? Have you did you have which is your wider nostril right now during the interview?
It's interesting. Like I kind of feel like only because I'm on a creative mindset right now, especially with like talking and stuff. But I typically find myself being a very logical person. I kind of leaning more towards my right, but I mean, my background's in engineering, and then I'm also I'm a musician and stuff too. Like before going back to school, so I don't know. I have both
Mhm.
my creative and my logical brain, but in this instance, I think it's probably leaning a little bit more right.
No, but okay, that will mean that your logic side is stronger right now. But if you do the test in an hour or in 3 hours, maybe it will be the opposite. You know what I mean? That is shifting all day long during all your life. I mean, you are, even if your dominant side is the right side of the brain, you have to share, let's speak like that, to share the dominance during the hours of the day, because it's not fixed. So you have to do just the people from Asia are are just like acupuncture, all these holistic and alternative medicine things are not so crazy. I mean, you can see there are like old papers of acupuncture like are like 3,000 years old, 4,000 years old. So, and they are still using some of those rules. And I just say maybe there is a reason for that. Maybe they are not so crazy. So it's always useful to know, get to know the body from another point of view, because you're raised in a. It's just like what it happens now, right now with the financial system. You have to shift your paradigm, because I mean the old banking thing is changing, but the old way of selling plane tickets did change a lot with the internet, and the
Pretty soon
old
they'll be
banking system.
tokenizing everything. Could you imagine air traveling with a token?
Yeah, exactly. And there is a millionaire in Canada who said something wonderful about watches. He said, we can kill the counterfeiting of clocks, of wristwatches from China, just converting the actual wristwatch in NFTs. Because you assign a number and the blockchain, and you convert, and you say, okay, this clock, this wristwatch is an NFT, physical NFT, and you just put the number, of the contract number in the behind of the clock, and he said, and the counterfeiting industry is dead, because there will
But
be
like
only.
I look at Brain is Real's project. I see his project like those things. Your brain could be like kind of like a stuffed animal toy. Has anyone told you that you can make 3D out of it? I don't know. I looked at it. I was like, wow, that'd be kind of cool to have it 3D printed.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. That'd be pretty rad. I've thought about like a number of things I could do, but yeah, I've never thought about that. I even thought about coming out with like a little bit of maybe like a clothing line in future, like long term. Because if you notice the butterfly that's on my Brain is Real, it's a B, I, and an R. I don't know if you've seen that before, but it's actually like a butterfly, meaning kind of like rebirth. Kind of like that born again, kind of metaphorically. Um, meaning that, even through darkness and stuff, we can be in a cocoon and eventually come out and be a lot
Yeah,
better for like our
exactly.
mental health.
That's a wonderful analogy.
That-
Perfect.
So okay, so let's talk about your mental health organization that you're working with. Would you mind sharing with us which one you're working with and why did you choose them?
So here's the thing with that is that I want it to be more community driven. I want it to be not just chosen by me in particular. There are some organizations that I don't want to speak about because we don't actually have, any sort of like contracts or anything like or agreements signed between them yet. So I don't want to say who directly we're working with yet. But they are specialized in taking cryptocurrencies. So it'll be a smart contract. So when you purchase our NFT, you will see exactly where that money is going, and that way there's a lot of transparency. So people like a lot of things that I've seen within the NFT community is that, especially within the mental health like spaces, they will make claims, and I'm not like pointing out any like particular project or anything, but there are projects that they will make claims, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, where's the money actually going to? And you go to look at their roadmap, and then you realize, oh, wait, they've started their own foundation and the money is going towards them. Like, where's the separation in that? So it's there's kind of some sketchiness that I've noticed within some of these projects they're doing. So what we want to do again is set up a smart contract where it's a third party entity, that it's a 5103C foundation where they're able to take crypto, and then in that way you're able to see that money like in real time where it's going, and every time that there's a transaction made, 51% of that will automatically go towards that organization. No like if ands or buts type kind of ordeal. And the reason why I've stuck with that 51% number is because I don't want to have a majority of the share of the money. I've been fortunate enough to where I've traded stocks, and I've basically become semi-retired now at like 29, and I don't need to go to work every day, which is like really weird for me to say. But I've been very fortunate, and I know that there's a lot of people who are in silence and have not been able to come forward and talk about their mental health like problems. So like I want to be able to help out those people, the people who have been living in silence for so long, and those who actually need help and are maybe not be able to pay for services, but that's what this money is about. It's about giving back to the community like as much as possible through the form of project, and then like also offering people utility.
That's great. So right now you don't until the contract's all written up, you don't have you can't really tell us who it is yet.
Yeah, I don't want to say exactly. I mean, there's some people that I've approached, and they've approached me, and then we've talked to them about it. But again, that will all come out definitely in future, just because we're not making like any sales or anything like that right now. I also don't have a specific launch date quite yet, because I believe slow and steady is the correct way to do this in the NFT community. Because what I've seen, especially in the NFT space, is that there's like this rush to go to market, and all of a sudden you pay for promotion. Like it's really really common for people to pay for promotions. They will get a promoter, and then all of a sudden their community that they have grown is not as large. The promoter will bring in a lot of people in that community, and then those people are only there to make a quick buck, do a flip. So they'll flip your projects, and then the floor will go back to zero, and those who were like originally invested and had been in the project since the beginning are the ones that are quote unquote bag holding, which is where you're holding on the project as it's still diving, and it never like fully recovers. And then those people have to get out and eventually like lose money while doing it, and then it just like destroys the community. What we're trying to do is completely opposite. I believe that the way to go is slow and steady, rather than, and because the faster you grow and the taller you grow, the harder you fall. And
Atomic habits point of view, man. I think that's shifting the planet. James Clear book is wonderful in that sense. I mean, I guess we were raised to use like these big change, overnight changes. Oh, on Monday I will start on the gym. I will do 2 hours a day for a month, and that's a lie. I mean, nobody resists that. That was the when you do the New Year resolutions, always die in middle January because it's too strong. So starting small but going steady, I think it's the secret formula. So it is. I think you're in the right train of thought with this approach that you are explaining us.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's like, when you're building a foundation, like on a construction site, right? Like metaphorically, you can't pour the concrete and immediately go work on it or like try to build a stick and frame like on top of that, because you're going to sink into the concrete, or, your stick and frame foundation is going to collapse, or opposite of that, right? Like you never build a foundation. Well, then you build up a stick and frame, and then as you're trying to keep building, you're like, oh, wow, there's no foundation to, fall back to, so your stick and frame ends up falling over. And then that's again, like, that's why projects end up failing, is because they never set up like a solid base. So yeah, it's a slow and steady method that I definitely started to approach, because after doing a lot of research into the NFT community and still like seeing a lot of these projects go to zero, it's because of their lack of ability to notice why these other projects are failing, which is that, again, the faster you grow, the taller you grow, right? The harder you fall generally, and that's just because you're rushing so quickly to build up this project. And we're definitely not trying to go about going that way. We want it to be like a long lasting utility. One of like my favorite books that I've ever read, and especially one of my favorite authors, is called The Infinite Game, from Simon Sinek. I mean, I'm sure a lot of us have probably seen the TED Talk. If not, it's a really great TED Talk. But then it was based off of his book, and it like changed my perspective on how I see not only like finances.
Can you repeat? Sorry, can you repeat the name again? I didn't get it.
Yeah, it's called The Infinite Game. It's by
That's
Simon
the name.
Sinek.
That's the name of the actual TED Talk.
I don't know if
The
that's
Infinite
called.
Game.
I don't know if that's what the TED Talk is called, but I mean, if you just look up Simon Sinek, The Infinite Game, like TED Talk, I'm sure it would come up.
Okay.
But the
Oh,
book is called The Infinite Game, and it's
okay. That's the name of the book. And he's Simon. And how do you spell the last name? The last name?
Yeah, Sinek.
Okay.
It's the last name, and then Simon is just Simon.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I have a serious mental health trouble. I did learn English through Mad Magazine. You remember Mad Magazine? Well, I am 60 years old now, and I started reading seriously. I bought my first Mad Magazine issue in the year 1975. Can you believe that? Was it like a 37 years ago, something like that, or I guess no more,
Now, I'd
47.
love to see if you had that or not. If you still have that Mad magazine, and I wonder if you can NFT it, even though
Yeah,
that's the other thing too. Like I would collect that if I was a collector. Like I would collect an old NFT, like
yeah,
an
they were
NFT of the original Mad magazine.
well. Can you believe when I got the Omicron in the beginning of this year, I had an actual artist from Mad Magazine through another friend. He sent me through Instagram a wish well video. Angelo Torres, one of the. Do you remember that name, Angelo Torres? He was like Mort Drucker, the guy, the guys who draw where they did draw the parodies, the satire of the movies and the TV series. Oh, those are actual genius, and I couldn't believe. I felt like, oh my goodness, what the hell is happening here? Angelo Torres is talking to me, and this video is for me, for wishing me well, and I'm very happy because I'm feeling really, really well after that video, and I got all of that. You know what was funny? The
But
way Tonya asked you.
Carlos, we need to open up the mic at 7:42, so we want to be done by 8 p.m.
Oh,
If,
yes.
yeah.
Thank you for reminding me that. Yep.
Michael, did you want to grab the mic? 'Cause Michael hosts a lot of mental health spaces too, so that's why he's here. And I love the fact that you host spaces about on mental health. And what are the times? Can you share with us again?
Yeah, so it's actually just recently our 2-month anniversary doing this almost every day except for Sundays. But yeah, if you're on Pacific time, it's from 1 to 3 p.m. Or if it's on Eastern, it's actually from, what is that, 4 to 6 p.m. and our primary focus with that is just we do a peer support, which is just basically we basically have a space for people to come in and just do a check-in and talk about how they're doing. We also like discuss NFTs in there and like Web3 and stuff. And it's not really a space for us. We're there to basically be like moderators, and we hang out, and people really like talking to us, which is fun, and we love like hanging out and talking to them too as well. And it's just kind of like naturally grown, and then through that, Brain is Real, like my project, I have been working on it, but not as much, just due to the fact that we've been focusing on this other thing called the Mental Health Collective, which is that is the idea of basically combining 3 other mental health projects, including ours, and then having a peer support group where it's on our Discord page where we go on there, and it's kind of like the Random Character Collective from like the Invisible Friends. But our whole premise with that is just to offer like a quote unquote kind of like safe space within a Discord, a space where we can also have our NFT like projects, and we do those daily spaces, which are from Monday to Saturday, 1 to 3 p.m. Pacific time every day, which has been a lot of fun. Like one of my other things that I try to live by a lot is learning from those willing to teach and teaching those willing to learn. So I've learned a lot from those in those spaces who just have different perspectives, and people are navigate through those subjects that are sometimes like very difficult really well. And a lot of people are pretty emotionally intelligent. There's only been like maybe a handful of times where we've had some people come up and we've had to like be moderators and either like remove them a speaker or not. But like 95% of the time it goes like really well. And yeah, I've just learned a lot like in those spaces. So many people in different variety of like backgrounds, like psychologists or therapists have been like in our spaces. People have like spent 10 years in school and have done a lot of training. Or like there's another individual, psychology pop, she's I think been a therapist now, or psychologist now. I think it's like 20 years, she was saying. And they like I've learned a lot from them. And then they also like recently I was like very shocked but like humbled also, where they said they were like learning stuff from me too as well, which is there's that common saying, which is you can choose your family. Oh wait, you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. But in an interpersonal communication class I had taken a number of years ago, it's actually like a big myth. You can choose your family like you do your friends. So when I had like spoken about that, I gave like a little bit of background in my own experience. They had mentioned that, hey, yeah, oh my gosh, I've never thought about that. And then I guess they started telling their clients that after they did some research. So I was like pretty humbled, and I've learned a lot from her and other people in that space. I'm rambling at this point, but yeah, it's been really great. It's been a lot of fun.
I have a question for you regarding one of the brains NFTs that you're showing. It has surrounding the brain. There are several symbols. Some of them are pretty obvious. Just like there is a cat, which is the king of the internet. The rainbow, of course. I can see just like I would like to ask you, what's the meaning of the grasshoppers, the monkey, the spider, the chameleon? That's especially the monkey. Why did you put a monkey inside a human's brain?
Yeah, so like when I was looking for like some symbolism and stuff, it can mean like carrying a monkey on your back is one of the other like meanings that I was like thinking of.
Okay, I
Like,
was betting it was, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
yeah, and then like another one is kind of like I was gonna have the monkey kind of like mimic all the facial expressions of what the brain is doing. So
Oh, that's good.
yeah, I was thinking like kind of like a mimicking monkey, or like sometimes you're also I guess you can even label it as like a little bit of like imposter syndrome is like another thing you could put on there. But the moth is also like to symbolize like the rebirth. The chameleon is like when we try to like hide ourselves and take on like different shades and like kind of mask our personalities. The cat, believe it or not, is actually a complete almost copy and drawing of our own house cat. But yeah, it's kind of like the king.
Yeah, don't tell me that. Just like a portrait.
Yeah, it's actually Kali, which is the goddess of destruction. That's what our cat is
Oh, that's
named.
great. Good.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's a bunch of other things too. Like I have like different weathers and stuff. Like there's I think there's like the rainbow that's in that one, but
There
just
is
to kind of
that.
also go ahead.
The gray thing is like a moth.
Yeah, that's a moth. It's a moth that's up there.
And why a moth besides a chameleon? This looks like a small Salvador Dali painting, you know? Very surrealistic.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, it's just again, it's supposed to kind of like symbolize like new beginnings or kind of like rebirth. Because
What you were saying about the chrysalid. Yeah, okay, good.
yeah, so I love moths. I think moths are fascinating creatures, and then especially when they're in a moth stage, they only last about a couple of weeks. Some of them are only like a couple of days. Their primary focus is to, I mean, this is outside of the symbolism, but they basically will grow wings, and then their whole primary focus is to find a mate. And then they die. They mate, and then they they die. It's pretty crazy. It's
Yeah,
kind
and
of sad,
and
but they're
they're
absolutely beautiful creatures.
no, and they are like kind of Buddhist insects because they search for the light. They search for illumination. That's the only thing they do in their short span of life. So symbolically, it's incredible. This should be the symbol of actual people searching for enlightenment or illumination, how we say in Spanish. So this is very, very nice. I mean,
Say
I
hi to
love the.
Michael's here. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Tanya and Carlos and everybody.
Great to have you here, Michael.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's been a very fascinating conversation. My own thought personally is when it comes to PTSD, which I have when I was in the military, as most of you know, and panic attacks. Now, panic attacks are extremely real. They feel real, they seem real, because in the person's mind, it is real, or they wouldn't panic. One of the techniques that I learned from Dr. Nazarula many, many, many years ago, I was in high school, so we're going back a few years. He said, take a paper bag, put it over your mouth, and breathe slowly in and out of the bag. And that helps regulate your breathing and calms you down. Close your eyes and rest. It works for me. It may not work for everybody. I haven't had to do that in 35 years. So I thank God for that. When
You
I
said
run
you said the key word, Michael. Sorry,
well, I'm just trying to
Michael.
get everything in, Carlos, before 8 o'clock. And then if there's time, if it's okay with you, then ask me.
No, I just want to say, I just want to highlight something. You said a very important word. Is the word do it slowly. You have to do it slowly because many people commit the mistake of using the bag and breathing very, very fast. So do it each like a hoo, and that's not good. It has to be slowly. So I thank you for reminding me that it has to be slow. It doesn't have to be speedy in a nervous thing. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you for reminding us the proper way to do it. Go ahead. I don't know if we lost him. Are you there, Michael?
Yeah, sorry, I muted myself.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
So what I said was thank you for what you had shared. And I just would tell you that when I run my spaces concerning mental health, Tanya's been there as a co-host and ran the analytics. I used to just read from the internet the things and let the people know where the information is. So if they wanted to search and research it for themselves, they could. They knew the source. I never believe in plagiarizing, at least not deliberately or purposely. So I let people know, and I let them know, obviously, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, et cetera, et cetera. I never lift myself up into something I'm not. However, I am an ordained pastor. I did have the laying on of hands in a real congregation, et cetera, et cetera. So from that standpoint, legally as a pastor, I minister. But even the vast majority of pastors and priests that I know, when it comes to mental health, yes, spiritually we speak with them, but we always direct them to a professional psychologist or psychiatrist, social worker, anyone that has an actual degree in it, because we don't want to cause harm with our layman advice. We want them to get the professional treatment so that if they need medication, they can receive it and live a good, full life. Yes, there still have to be people that will have to be in your life if you have certain kinds of mental illnesses, so that you can do psychotherapy, which is nothing more than talking with a therapist and letting the therapist do whatever he or she needs to do and share with you. And if you're the recipient of the receiving of the sound advice from your professionals, you ought to try to implement it into your own life, because after all, it's not what you're doing on your own right now isn't working for you. So that's why you should probably say, well, maybe I should listen to the advice of others that are professional and apply it. And Rome wasn't built in a day. It's a figure of speech. It took a long time. And as I shared before, and Carlos, had come on to bring out the same point, it's slowly. It's not an overnight thing. I don't want people to have the misconception that if you have a mental illness and you're seeing a psychiatrist, psychologist, social worker, or whoever he or she is, that it's an instant fix. It's not. It's not like an instant cup of coffee. It's just not like that. There are things that you have to take your time with. Some things emotionally that you might talk about might be profound, and it may cause you to cry, male or female, but that's okay, because that's part of cleaning your body out too, emotionally.
Thank you, Michael, for sharing. No, it's 7:55, and I really want to be mindful, but you guys should, Michael, you and Brain should collaborate. You should get because he hosts one every day except Sunday, so it's maybe you should check it out together, and then I'll run a stream for you, because I think that conversation is really important. But this is NFTs for a cause, so again, looking forward to be following this project and to see how it grow. And I love the artwork, and Carlos and I really enjoy having him on here. And we have about 4 minutes, Brain. So final thoughts. What would you like to leave us with until next time? Because I know there's going to be another next time.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for having me and stuff. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about a little bit what Michael talks about, because like PTSD for me, I just recently found out that I actually have that. I think you heard me say that earlier. But yeah, I found I have moderate PTSD. There's another thing called the abusive children circle, and I had this like really big eye-opening moment through therapy where I was like, wow, I can go all the way around this wheel, and I only have since begun to realize how much trauma and has then led to my PTSD within my childhood. So which has then not only led to my panic attacks and stuff like that too, but it's just been crazy, like to realize that there are actual answers out there for me, and I'm getting kind of like this validation in the way that I've been feeling. But yeah, it's definitely a slow process. And for anybody in the room who's going through mental health, never think like it's a light switch. It's not like tomorrow you're going to be able to flip it off and it won't be there. It's something where I don't want to say like an escalator, but I like thought of an escalator for some reason, but I just imagine you're standing on an escalator and it takes time to get up to the second floor, right? I mean, it's not like you can all of a sudden go from like the first to the second floor in like an instant. It's a gradual process. It's an incline. It's not just a leap and you're there. So yeah, but I guess I'll leave too, like it always sometimes can get worse before it gets better, right? But with enough time, things can get better. But yeah, I guess with the for a project and stuff, again, it's just about Brain is Real is about, our brain is real and so is our mental health. And I just love trying to help out people in the community, trying to destigmatize mental health and all of these spaces within on Twitter and anywhere like on the internet, even like in real life. Because one of the things and what led me to talking about this and wanting to destigmatize this was when within my own family, I tried to go into pushing to my father and my mom, and they would both tell me like, "What are you talking about? What? how could you be stressed out? How could you be having anxiety right now? Your life is so great. I was like leading an aerospace space team and stuff like that during a time. And I was like, everything on the outside looked like I was going really great, but on the inside, I was, not going so great. And then during that time too, I was trying to go to my now ex-wife's family, but it was my wife's family at the time. And they were making fun of other people that they were friends with, that there was this lady that had such severe panic attacks and anxiety attacks that she would pass out. And I remember them laughing about her, like on the table, like around dinner tables and stuff. And for me, I wasn't able
That's
to.
worse. That's worse than bullying. But I have a story with a fellow comedian. Actually, the main comedian in Venezuela. We were working together in a project for a company, and I had a sudden, very very strong panic attack. He asked me, "What do you feel?" And I told him, "Listen, I feel I'm gonna die in 5 minutes." And then he was telling me if I wanted water. He told me to remember to breathe easily. I was thinking to calm down. We of course stopped working or writing the jokes. And just like half an hour later, he asked me again, "How do you feel? What do you feel right now? Explain to me, what do you feel?" And I said to him, "Well, I feel like I could die in the next 5 minutes." And he told me, "Hey, listen, you could have died 5 times because that's what you said me half an hour ago. And you have 6 5-minute slots, so you could have died 6 times in a row." So we started to laugh so hard, and I got, oh my goodness, it's true. Because when I told him that I felt that I was about to die in 5 minutes, I was actually believing it. Okay, I feel it, like Pastor Michael said, the symptoms are real. But then I said, okay, half an hour have passed by and I'm still alive. Okay, maybe I'm gonna survive. So thank you for coming, Brian. I'm done here. I'm gonna leave Tonya to wrap up because it's like 8 o'clock now. Tonya, are you there? I don't know. Maybe she's handling the YouTube connection and the other media. Are you there, Brain?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
Yeah, it's totally true. I guess I could just respond on what you're saying. I just want to say hi to Giga. It's great to see you, Giga. I'll just wave at you.
Yeah, it was so funny because he's a genius. He's a real genius. And he went, "What do you feel now?" "I feel I'm going to die in 5 minutes." "Okay, you had 6 chances of doing it because that's exactly what you said me 30 minutes ago." So I think that's the best time I got rid of one panic attack ever. And sometimes during a strong one, I remember that and I said, okay, calm down. Remember the magic half hour with this famous friend. And it was very helpful. So I don't know if I will be, for the sake of the recording, giving thanks to you. I don't know if Tanya is not here.
I'm
I
here.
don't know if, you're here. Okay. I leave you then to wrap it up. And Brian and Pastor and everybody, thank you for coming and listening. If you are listening to the recording, thank you for doing that. God bless you all. And Tonya, wrap it up.
Yes, we will be next week. We'll be back same time at 7 p.m. with another